Welcome friends, it's Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to use some pattern paper scraps to make some beautiful cards, and I'm also going to use just some regular white paper scraps. So stay tuned to see all of the cards I make today. In the past, I've shown some videos with the waffle flower die. And I focused on keeping the pattern papers in their original layout. Well, with this video, my focus is just using your scraps. So combining scraps to make some beautiful designs. I will be sure to link to more of my videos on using this template that you can download free, and it gives you all the measurements that I use to make these designs. Here I'm showing you that I label the back of them because I cut them in advance usually, just watching TV or something, and so I want to make sure that I get them going in the right direction, and that I put them where they're supposed to be without a lot of thought. So I labeled the back of them as I'm cutting them. I laid out my pattern paper on my collage panel and am now using liquid glue to affix the pieces. I have some matching stickers for this pattern paper, so I'm going to use a big bouquet. I'm adding foam tape to the back of my bouquet. And then I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool just to get the sticky off of those exposed areas on the back. So I'm affixing my card panel here to a 5x7 card base. I went ahead off camera and affixed my sentiment to my bouquet and then finished popping that up on foam tape. And I'm bringing in some small circles from the waffle flower die collage die set, and adding just a hint of white space with these circles behind my bouquet, just to kind of break up some of that color so that my bouquet stands out more. And here I'm coming in with some sequins to add finishing touches to this card. I love the way it turned out. I make a second Scraps to Beauts card off camera, but I wanted to show you how I put my focal sentiment together using ephemera that matches the cardstock, some vellum, and of course my sentiment. My sentiment is backed with vellum, so I start out using just some tape runner. I end up using some liquid glue to go ahead and form my cluster behind my happy birthday sentiment. And this seems to hold a little better. Let me know in the comments if you found creative ways to use all of the scraps that you save. After I get my cluster formed, I'm going to reinforce it on the back using some glue dots. I'm also using these glue dots because it's going to give me a little dimension under my cluster, but also I'm going to use it down below on the vellum backing, and it's not going to show as much once I add this directly to my card panel. And here's that card panel that I made off camera. I'm adding it to my card base, and then we'll add my focal sentiment cluster directly to my panel. And here I come in and add some sequins to both of my cards. This card is awesome because it is gender neutral. In some of my prior videos I do make some more masculine cards, so be sure to check those out if you haven't seen those videos. You can add the postmarked stamps to these cards. I decided not to do so. Stick around to the end. I will show you some close-ups of both of these cards. Now I'm going to switch gears and use up some of my white paper scraps. So for this design, I'm going to affix some of the white paper scraps together. And I probably should have used some low-tack tape instead of my painter's tape, and just wasn't thinking. But it still turns out okay. My card scraps are a heavier weight, 120-pound cardstock, so they're going to be able to take most of this moisture well. And had I not been using scraps, I would have used watercolor paper for this technique, but this did much better than I thought it would. I cut out a panel with the deckled edge die, and then I'm using that same die to cut out just a strip of the shimmer powder paper. I used a light mist of water on the back of my white card panel, and then embossed that with a 3D embossing folder. And now I'm bringing in my shimmer powder cardstock. And I've added some double-sided tape to the back, and then I'm going to add some liquid adhesive just in the exposed areas so that it gives me time to line this panel up. And then I can go ahead and remove the remaining release paper from my tape. And here I'm coming in with an alcohol marker and coloring in the edges of my sentiment strips. And here I'm adding my card panel to my card base. I pop my sentiment strips up on foam tape and add them to my panel, and then I come in and add some finishing touches to this card. So for this card, I'm going to cut from my shimmer powder panel using some small hexagon dies. While this card is somewhat gender neutral, if you wanted to make a masculine card, you could do so just by changing the pattern paper or your color palette. So while this isn't a new design, you can make it your own by just changing up the layout. I am going to leave maybe about a 1/16 of an inch in between my octagons. Oh no, these are hectagons. Octagons have 8 sides. Okay, so just by changing up the colors, you can use pattern paper, you can make use shimmer powders in different colors. Okay, I'm going to start with 3 going straight down, and then what I'm doing is I'm kind of picking out those that I really want to use. These 3. These don't have as much shine, but I will still use them. So I'm trying to put the ones with the most shine up top. So then I'm going to put this one here, and these don't have to be precise, but I want to kind of So here, I used my scraps to cut a couple more of these. And so sometimes it only takes a scrap, like with this. And then sometimes you just don't know exactly what you're going to do as you're designing until a design starts to come together. You just don't know. So we'll put this here. So that's what happened here. I didn't know how many hexes I needed. So I only cut, I think, about 9. So this is, I needed at least 11 for this design. This design is so versatile. It can be laid out any kind of way, you know, with these 1-inch hexes. They are small enough. And so this can be done with most shape dies, circles, squares, rectangles. They just need to be small, just so that you're able to make a layout. Okay, all right, and so this part of the design right here doesn't have anything. Let me see. Leave about a 1/16 of an inch there, like I did all around. Okay, so I actually ran this through twice. The second time I used my metal shim, and that seemed to work pretty well in most areas. Probably should have run it through again. Let me just take a look, because this is looking a little not cut. So I'm just using my scissors to just trim that out, clean it up a little bit, and I think we will move on. I used double-sided foam tape on the back of my sentiments like I did in the prior card, and we'll just affix this to my panel. And here I just finished this card design off with some embellishments. Here's a closer look at all 3 cards I made in today's video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked the video, and if not a subscriber, will subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Until next time, good day, friends.